Welcome to Freelance Thrive. Here we talk with skilled freelancers about their professional journey. Stay tuned for real life experiences to learn and actionable steps to take to improve your freelancing career. My name is Yuri. I'm a community builder at Code Control and 9am.works, and my guest is Bri Leever, skilled generalist and community consultant who launches online communities for creators and brands. And we'll talk about her approach on creating content and finding clients. So, welcome, Bri.
Hi, Harry. Thanks for having me.
I'm super happy to talk to you. So, because I already had you on a previous podcast, and I know that you're a great expert, a great human. So, let's start from the first
Oh,
question. How did you decide to become a freelancer?
yeah, it kind of came upon me. I would say I quit my job in February of 2020, if we can all remember what life was like in February of 2020. So literally like weeks later, the pandemic hit and I was like, oh, oh my. So I had some really amazing mentors who poured into me during that time and made sure I didn't rush into the next thing. And I was applying for full-time roles, but essentially through a coaching call with this like really incredible mentor and reading the book Designing Your Life, I essentially challenged myself to have 100 coffees in 90 days to find my dream job. And after about 15 coffees, I found myself pitching companies on bringing me on as a contractor. And so that was kind of the start of my freelance career.
Tell me more about this 100 coffees.
Yeah, it's like my medicine for everything in life. Not like the actual coffee, but I'm just like, you're stuck, go have coffee with 100 people. You're like not sure what to do next, go talk to 100 people. I think there's something, it's a very high volume of conversation that will get you unstuck or launched into whatever you are like looking to do next. So yeah, it was prompted from, I can't exactly remember if the book said like go have 100 coffees or if I just sort of like took that away. They basically were saying like go start talking to people and that is how you find your next job. And I basically was like, well, I have 3 months of savings until I'm like back at home with my parents. So, but I was actually at home with my parents anyways, because we were all quarantined and I got stuck in the farm. It was like this whole thing. So anyways, I just said, okay, 100 copies in 90 days. And that was really how my whole journey unfolded from there.
How did you feel while having first coffees?
Um, so apologetic for my presence. I was just like, I'm sorry. Oh God, will you talk to me? I'm sorry. Really had to get over that pretty quickly. But I just started with people that I knew and I was like, hey, I know that they're my advocates. I know they're my people. I know that they want to see me succeed. And so I just need some soundboarding. This is what I'm thinking. How does that sound to you? How does that compare with like what you know about me and my gifts and my skills and my talents? Is there anyone else you think I should talk to who would be interesting after hearing what I talked about? So it was a lot of like brainstorming in the beginning, which turned into, okay, now I'm looking for a full-time job. Okay, now I'm not looking for a full-time job. I'm looking for contract work. So there was an evolution for sure.
After what call have you had confidence?
Oh, I had a really significant call with another mentor who, it was so funny, but he was just so attentive. And there was a point in my like little pitch, I was like practicing with him and he was like, he went back after I was done and he was like, that slide right there. He was like, you got really tired when you said that slide. And I was like, oh, I am tired about that slide. I was like, and here's why. And I like went off and it was just, I felt so seen by that mentor who like, usually when you ask people for feedback on those calls, they're like, yeah, sounds great. And they just kind of brush you off. But this mentor was like so attentive and he was like, yeah, your energy is like not great right there. So like what's going on inside of you? And it just was such an act of like, it was such a generous act for me that I felt like I got a lot of energy and confidence that he saw something that I could turn this into something amazing. And he really wanted to help me get there.
And what was the structure of your calls?
Every call was a little bit different, but generally I would say, um, if it was somebody who I knew or was connected to, I'd say, hey, I'm a community, I don't even think I called myself a community strategist at that point, but I build community advocate communities for brands. I'd love to hear if this is something, like share a little bit about what I do and see if this is something that could be a good fit for you. Are you open to a call? So I never try to like dance around if that's what I'm after. And it's like, even if it's salesy, I'm not going to try to like cover it up with other things because that just makes it worse. So I really just try to come out the gate with like, here's really what would be beneficial to me. I'd love to find what can be beneficial to you too and ask you some questions.
And you told that you asked your friends and the people you know, and who do you reach out to after you finished this list?
Yeah, gosh. So I started with, this is like back from my sales training days. I started with like a list of 40 people that I knew and talked to each of them. Every person I talked to, I would ask them who's 2 to 3 people that you know who would be interesting for me to talk to. So that really, the list begets more people. But I hit like a wall at like 80 and I didn't have anyone else to talk to. And I was just like, and so I like went back to some of my like best people, like my closest allies. And I was like, oh, this is so embarrassing. But like, I like have to keep having coffee. And like, maybe would you be willing to talk to me again? Like things had changed. I was like, I have something new to kind of share. It was like things had changed a lot from when I first talked to them. Yeah. So I had about 3 people who were willing to get back on with me. And actually one of my very first clients came from not the first, but the second conversation with a friend. So it was not for naught, but it was like, well, it was so hard to get. It was very humbling, very humbling.
Tell me more about how did you get your first client?
Yeah, through that. So my first year and a half of client work came from that initial surge of 100 conversations. So my very first client was, I have one of my awesome friends, Adrienne, connected me with her friend. I think her name's Tabitha, who connected me with her friend, Desiree, who was running a sustainable fashion brand. Actually, Pop Linen. I'm wearing them right now. I still buy from them. They're like a sustainable fashion brand and they're amazing. And yeah, Desiree just was willing to take a little bit of a risk. I mean, honestly, what she wanted to build, I had literally just built for like 7 years. So it was like, I say she was taking a risk with working with me, but it was also like, I felt like I could provide a lot of value for her because I knew exactly what she was trying to build and how to get there. So it was an awesome fit. And it was like 2 degrees removed from my warm circles.
And it feels like they also have lifetime client for now.
Yeah, they will. I definitely will keep coming back. They have great product.
And at what point did you understand the importance of creating content for finding clients?
Yeah, I would say that was in my like 3rd iteration. Well, I would say I've always been creating content because I always knew it was important, but I never really honed my expertise. And I would say I was pretty lazy about it for the first like 2 iterations of my business. So the first iteration I would say was like 100 conversations, just like throwing things out there, experimenting. The second iteration was getting connected to other consultants and community people. So getting more plugged into the industry. And then the 3rd iteration was like, okay, now I'm plugged in. I have some road underneath of me. We've been doing this for, like 2 years. I've just now hit my 3rd birthday. So it's exciting. But was like, okay, now it's time to like start figuring out how to leverage content as a way to generate leads. And, so that was probably it took me quite a while to actually be like ready to, distinguish myself as an expert through content, because I was focused on those other 2 areas.
So you've been creating content always, and you've been a little like lazy. And how do you deal with this laziness?
Yeah, it's so funny. I actually read a post from David Spinks today, and I was thinking about this yesterday in preparation for today. So the biggest difference now between what I'm doing now in my content and what I did when I was lazy is I just sort of believed, you always hear that consistency is key. And some people think that that means like, so just post, just post once a day, just keep posting and keep posting and keep posting, or like keep producing your podcast or whatever the thing is, just like volume is key. And it's actually, it's not. The consistency does need to be there. But what's even more important is like constantly iterating and constantly pivoting and adjusting and making it like 10% better. So I listened to a podcast that was called something cheesy, like Think Like Google. But one of the things was, one of the big takeaways was like always make it 10% better. Like don't focus on an overhaul, don't focus on like a huge pivot, but just, okay, what happened and how can I make it 10% better? So every Friday I sit down and I like list out my wins from the week. And I used to list out my bummers from the week. And I changed that to like, how can I make it 10% better? So anything that felt like a bummer, what was the like bright spot and how can I do that more? And that has like really changed the game. So not being complacent and really not falling into like the lie that I'd start to tell myself is, well, I just don't have a large enough sample size. Like I just haven't done it enough times to really be able to know what's working and what's not. And that's a lie. That's actually just like, that is pure resistance that is trying to keep you from success. Like you do know enough. You might not have quantitative data, but you do have qualitative data and you know what's working and what's not. So if it's not, like adjust it and try something different. And that has like seriously changed my content game.
And what kind of content works for you the best right now?
Yeah, it's constantly shifting. So I'm actually in the middle of a big shift right now. So I have found that my community dissection series on YouTube is really beneficial in a couple different ways. But I'm pivoting that one right now because we've been focusing on like really big brand communities, and I'm pivoting to this next like quote season. I guess I'm just going to call it a season. It's so fun. As freelancers, you just like get to make stuff up. You're just like, yep, and that was the wrap of season 1, I guess. Season 2.
Yeah.
So I'm pivoting to membership communities because I think there's more like heart and soul, and like there's just a lot more types of engagement and activity that I want to be showing to the world, to show them what real community looks like, which can happen in those big brand communities. But so that's like, you asked like what's working, and I'm like, here's how I'm changing things. But this is actually, it's like, it's really less like, I'm really less focused on like, okay, this is the thing that I found like really works, because even if it works today, it's like everything changes so quickly and everything is temporary and it's going to change tomorrow. So I try to focus a little bit more on like, well, how am I making it a little bit better? So I think that series will be a little bit better when I shift to membership communities. And then just been trying to get more strategic about my LinkedIn game. Like really my content strategy is like very simple. I like post on LinkedIn 4 times a week. I write 1 blog post a week. I record 1 community dissection video a week. So that's where the consistency is. But where the difference is like each of those elements is constantly being evaluated, not like evaluated like it's on the chopping block. Like I know each of those things, if I do them well, will move my business forward. But how exactly to do that is always a question that I'm tinkering with.
So you talked about YouTube video, about blog posts, and about a LinkedIn post. So what is your approach to creating this content? Do you have any process or instruction or checklist? How do you deal with it?
Yeah, I found that my best content happens when I am really excited to write about it. So, and I try to not, a lot of people will draft out their content like weeks or months in advance. when I'm like excited about an idea or like I want to like ask my community questions on LinkedIn, like I need to move with that energy sooner rather than later. Because if I sit on it or I like redraft it to death, it loses some of that magic. So I'll maybe draft things out like 1 to 2 days in advance, maybe if I know I'm going to have to wake up early to post it. I also really refrain from scheduling things out because I like to engage with other people's posts before and after I post. And I've found just organically it works better for me. So I have like the privilege of being able to carve out the time to do that. I know that not everybody does, but I've found that I'm already putting in all the effort to create the content. Why not like go the extra like 5% and just do it live so I can like be there to respond really quickly? Because the LinkedIn algorithm picks up, it's highly dependent on the activity that happens on your post in the first couple of hours. So I like to be pretty present for that. So I don't know, not too many like hacks or processes. It's like but I'm constantly trying to like pay attention to, and as a generalist, I think this is my like superpower. I'm looking for all of the connections around me. So it's like I might see something in nature that reminds me of like how I do community work. I might see something in my camper van business that I'm like, man, this feeling is like the same thing that I have with community management. I need to talk about it, whatever it is. If I feel like that spark or I feel heated about it, I'm like, oh, write about it, like right now.
Yeah, but I feel like it's super hard to have the spark all the time. So you always have to kind of like, I don't know how to explain it, but what I noticed from my LinkedIn practice is that sometimes like you are like created super great, super emotional post and like it works amazingly. It allows you to connect with a lot of people, but sometimes like, should I post some GIF or should I post some meme? I don't know.
Yeah. And I'd say I was in that position a couple months ago where it was like, I just didn't have a lot of ideas for what to share. And I actually I have like an ongoing backlog where like any idea that comes in, I'll just like throw it into that idea backlog. But I actually am a part of a community for other consultants and did took another member up on her like LinkedIn content workshopping. And so for 30 minutes, we sat down and she really helped tease out what are the things that are, like your hot takes, the things that you're opinionated about, and like, how can we approach those from like 12 different angles? So this one idea now has given you like 12 different things that you can talk about, and you're passionate about each of them because they're all like rooted in this one thing. But instead of just posting one idea, have 12 posts that you can lean into.
Yeah. And I really know that we are over the limit already, but I just can't avoid this question. So how connecting with other consultants, kind of competitors, how it helps you to thrive?
Yeah, gosh. So this is an ongoing journey for me. I would say last year I was like super keen on connecting with other community consultants, and it was super helpful to get that support and see what other people are doing. And I like had a mastermind for consultants. We were going to do the mastermind again, but it kind of fell through this year. And I've actually gotten connected to other communities, a community of consultants who are not just community consultants. Mm-hmm. It's actually been super helpful to bring in a little bit more diversity of like different ways that people run their consulting for other industries, because it's easier for me to like replicate their strategy or tactics in a way that's not just copying them because we're in different industries. So yeah. I don't know the sweet spot here. I'm definitely connected to other community consultants. I've seen value in being connected with community consultants, but sometimes I think it can be like comforting to like, you want like the comfort of someone understanding what you're going through, yeah. But that doesn't necessarily like move your business forward. So it's comforting. It's not always like a growth tactic, gathering with other community consultants. I mean, we can refer work to each other and that's huge, but I'm still experimenting with like where, and I think it's different for each season. So that was a messy way of answering your question, but it was the honest one.
Exactly. And I appreciate it so much. And Bri, I really wish to have the sky is the limit, but time is the limit. So the final question, what is your favorite food?
My favorite food. Right now, the first thing that came to mind is poke. So Hawaiian poke, raw fish with rice and some yummy like mayo sauce.
Got it. Thank you so much, Bri, for sharing your experience. And it's such a pleasure to hear and learn from you.
Thanks for having me, Yuri. I really appreciate it.
And thank you so much for listening. If you like the show, hit the like button or 5 stars and share it with your friend. That's it. We're done. See you in the next episode.